Field, we welcome you to the Wednesday Night Showdown, brought to you by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. New York Yankees are in town, wrapping up a 3-game series. Game 6 of a 10-game homestand. The Rays victorious last night 6-3. 1 out away from victory on Monday night. Now a chance to take this series 2 games out of 3. Todd Cowles alongside Orestes Estrada and Doug Wechter. And guys, really interesting pitching matchup tonight. A couple of strong right-handers. We'll start with you, Orestes, and the Yankee starter, Luis Severino.
Exciting guy, and what to watch from this kid is 2 things, the mental and the physical. The mental is spoke to a lot of the Yankee guys, and one thing they describe this kid's first thing is not about the physical. It's about the mental acumen of being fearless. Listen, when you're 21 and you're pitching in pinstripes in New York, you have to have some fearless attitude. The physical, he's a whip, un látigo. What he uses is an arm that literally almost like a whip action, and that does 1 of 2 things. Number 1, you hard to box up a player like that. Uses a great changeup along with that 95. But the second thing, you can get in trouble, Dougie, sometimes when that happens if you don't have the control in your right on socket. Last time, gave up a lot of runs to Toronto. But 3 before that, outstanding.
Let's talk about his opponent tonight, the Rays' Chris Archer, Doug.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris Archer is rolling this year, and for good reason. Actually, there's one reason, a slider. His slider is probably tops in the game. He throws it 39% of the time. That's the most out of any AL starting pitcher. And look, this slider is dirty for one reason. It has depth to it, all right? When you're throwing an off-speed pitch at 91, 92 miles an hour, it hardly ever has depth. It's usually left to right movement. This pitch, top to bottom movement at 91, 92 miles an hour, you almost never see that, and then it comes behind it with a 95-plus mile-an-hour fastball. Really good stuff from Archer this year. Look for him to continue that tonight.
Could be a record-setting night. The 236 strikeouts, 3 shy of the Tampa Bay franchise record set by Scott Kazmir back when they were the Devil Rays in 2007. So we've got baseball in 7.5 minutes. Logan Forsythe from the Rays warming up. We come back, we'll tell you about our Web Wednesday and get you ready between the Yankees and the Rays. Chris Archer versus Luis Severino right around the corner. Places. By Outback Steakhouse Curbside Takeaway. By Circle K. Fill up your Polar Pop cup for just 79 cents. Circle K. What else do you need? And by Morgan Auto Group. Make it Morgan. We make it happen. It is the Yankees and the Rays on a Web Wednesday from Tropicana Field. That means that Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson will have all the answers to your questions. Here's how. Tweet your questions to @SunSportsRays with the hashtag AskRays, or email your questions to sunsportsrays@gmail.com. Those two are fired up, and why not? It's a big outing tonight as Chris Archer has a chance to set a franchise record for strikeouts in the season. Kevin Kiermaier will try and help him out defensively as well. Archer also approaching 200 innings on the season. It's next.
Drop with New York rallying for an emotional win here on Monday. Then last night, Nick Franklin's two-run shot in the sixth helped the Rays even the series. Tonight, a pair of young fireballers take the hill. Chris Archer faces Yankees right-hander Luis Severino. Chris Archer goes to the mound against the New York Yankees in search of his 13th win and in search of a series win here for the Rays against New York. Dividing the first two games, Rays 6-3 winners last night. New York winning the first game Monday 4-1. The lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Jacoby Ellsbury leads it off. Brett Gardner and then Alex Rodriguez, the DH. Brian McCann again in the cleanup spot catching. Carlos Beltran's at right. Greg Bird's at first. Chase Headley down at third base, hitting seventh in front of the shortstop D.D. Gregorius. Dustin Ackley, the former Seattle Mariner, gets a start at second base. He'll be hitting ninth.
For Chris Archer tonight, making his 31st start of the season, he will be looking to be out for revenge against this New York Yankee ball club. He has had his way with this team for the longest of time. He picked up his first loss against them last time out. He pitched into the seventh inning, seemingly was just rolling right along, and then the Yankees were able to get 4 quick runs off of him, give him that one loss that he has against them. And so you know, here in the rubber match of this series and a chance to further damage the Yankee chances to win the division, Chris Archer will be motivated here tonight. Let's take a look at that defense that's going to line up behind him tonight. Brought to you by BMW. in that outfield left to right. Mikey Matuk gets another start with Kevin Kiermaier and Steven Souza Jr. And then across that infield third to first, Evan Longoria, Nick Franklin full-time tonight at shortstop with Logan Forsythe and James Loney, with Rene Rivera getting the call behind the plate.
Archer set to make his 31st start. He'll be facing Jacoby Ellsbury. New York coming in 79 and 66, starting the day 3 back of Toronto. The Rays running 4th in the division. And Ellsbury, Gardner, and Rodriguez, the top 3 hitters in the lineup for Joe Girardi. Chris Archer's first pitch of the night, swung on a little ground ball through the left side, and there's a base hit. How about Ellsbury? He had really been struggling. 0 for 25 coming in. That first pitch presented by Pinch-A-Penny. But against Archer, coming in 14 of 21. He's now 15 out of 22 with this little hit.
Well, and a cracked bat, just finding an open hole. Going after that first pitch aggressively, he finds some open area. He had 1 hit, you were talking about, in his last 7 games. And the Yankees have been talking about, Joe Girardi said, hey, listen, it's something that he's just going to have to work himself through. He's going to play center field. He's going to hit leadoff. He's got to figure it out, and a base hit there.
Now Brett Gardner steps in. So Ellsbury is aboard. He did reach on an error last night, so he's on base for the 2nd time in this series. 1 strike to count to Gardner.
Well, this is where you've got to start to watch these top 2 guys. Brett Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury, they're the 2 big runners in this lineup. And you would think that Joe Girardi, this offense been scuffling a little bit the last week or so. Maybe try to make something happen.
0-2. Well, the Yankees have dropped 6 of their last 8. And they were quiet in the first game until they came up with that big 2-out 9th inning rally to stun the Rays 4-1.
And when you look up and down this lineup that's out there tonight and the number of guys that are really struggling in that time frame, it's pretty remarkable. Outside of Alex Rodriguez, almost everybody.
Up the left side, that's a foul ball. Well, let's take a look at our Toyota trend. You can see on July the 31st, the Yankees had a 6-game lead on the Blue Jays. But then things changed. The Blue Jays now up by 3. They've gone 29-11 since retooling their roster.
And what's the significance of that date? That is that trade deadline that you're talking about.
Gardner out on strikes. That slider takes care of him.
You know, the Blue Jays decided to go for it with some very big trades. You think about Tulowitzki, you think about David Price, you think about Ben Revere. The Yankees did not want to give up any of their top prospects, and you can understand that too. But it has definitely flipped in the standings this year.
And now it's Alex Rodriguez. Rodriguez, the DH, homered in the first inning of last night's game. There's a strike on the outside part of the plate. Larry Vanover working the plate, a veteran umpire. He came up in '91 over in the National League, and he will widen that zone a little bit to the outside of the plate for a pitcher against a right-handed hitter. One. The GMC big matchup. 17 games against the Rays, 8 home runs, hitting .295.
Well, and those 8 home runs, that is 25% of his season total coming against the Rays.
1-2. Nice slider there. David Ortiz with 10 home runs in a single season, the most ever hit against the Rays in 1 year. And Alex Rodriguez has 8. 2-2. Brian McCann, the catcher, is on deck. Ellsbury first, one out. And there is strike 3 called on the fastball. Rodriguez turns around and heads back to the dugout. 95 on that fastball for strikeout number 2.
And that's either Alex Rodriguez looking for the slider, waiting on the slider, or just realizing there is nothing that he's going to be able to do with that pitch and hoping that Larry Vanover calls it a ball.
So that's 238 strikeouts on the year now for Chris Archer. One behind the Rays single season record, a foul ball. Little piece of that one by Brian McCann. Strike 1. Scott Kazmir in 2007 and 239. 238 right now for Chris Archer. Inside, fastball, mid-90s. Well, Archer carried a shutout into the 6th in that last outing, leading 3-0. McCann hit a 3-run home run. Alex Rodriguez followed with a solo shot. Start of a move on that pitch in the dirt, and Ellsbury scampers back in to first base.
Well, credit Rene Rivera and his hop behind the plate, blocking that ball, keeping it out in front where the action's going to be, and then pouncing on it. This ball well out in front of the plate, right into the glove. It comes out, but look at him, eyes up, then grab the baseball and anticipate an attempt to move up. There was none.
Pitch lifted into right center. And Kiermaier's there crossing in front of Souza to retire New York. They leave a man. Bottom of the first coming up, no score. Inning. No score. We'll take a look at their lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. John Chaso again DHing, and Mikey Batuk back in there in the lineup in left field. Evan Longoria hits third, then Logan Forsythe and James Loney. Steven Souza Jr. in right. Nick Franklin in short. Kevin Kiermaier in center. The catcher is Rene Rivera.
Well, Luis Severino taking the mound tonight here for the New York Yankees, and he has tremendous stuff. The Rays have already seen him once. Very impressed with the early in-game adjustments he made against them. The Rays lineup came out aggressive against him. You would expect the same here tonight. He made great adjustments and was able to pitch into the 7th inning in that ball game, giving up just 1 earned run and picking up a win.
Well, John Jaso in the DH spot will lead off. John 0 for 3 against Severino in that start he made earlier this month in New York. Comes out swinging at the mid-90s fastball, fouling it back, strike 1.
Well, that's what they're going to do. You know, they face these guys that have great stuff and want to establish a fastball early. Rays hitters are ready to go. And if the first one that's out over the plate, they're going to take a rip at it.
Line drive, and it's hit right to Ackley. They had overloaded the right side with the shift, and Ackley takes care of that liner.
Well, let's set that Yankee defense for you. Brought to you by BMW in the outfield left to right. Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran. And across the infield third to first, Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, Dustin Ackley, and Greg Bird, with Brian McCann once again behind the plate.
Mikey Matuk on a nice little run here for the Rays and has earned himself another start. Strike 1. He had 3 hits in yesterday's game. On the ground is short. Gregorius lets it get away from him. Just a routine play and a little nonchalant on that one. Charged with his 12th error.
He started to throw the ball before it got into the glove. Watch him get it down, then start to come up. And that ball never got into the pocket of the glove, right off the edge. And even with the hop, that's as routine as it gets, almost at any level of baseball, and Didi Gregorius knows it. I guess if you're out there long enough, that's bound to happen every now and then.
Here's Evan Longoria, who homered off Severino in New York. Pitch is a strike around the knees. Rays with a base runner on the error. Took back in at first.
Even though these two pitchers here tonight, not very easy to run on, you would expect some action because of their stuff, because they're tough to put a lot of hits in an inning up against. You would expect some movement on the base paths by the guys who can run.
1-1 on Evan. The dugout. Here's a look at that home run we mentioned up in New York. Hit it out to left, down the line. It was Evans' 18th home run of the year. 19 on the season right now. Runner takes off. Swing and a miss, and the ball pops away from McCann. And Montuk's going to get his 3rd stolen base of the year.
Well, there's some of that movement that we anticipate. Severino does pick up the strikeout. You see Matuk off and running. McCann had a shot. Boy, that was an easy pitch to handle. A fastball that was up in the zone. It just popped free, and that allowed the Rays to get Mikey out into scoring position here with 2 outs.
83rd steal for the Rays this year. They're 4th in the league in that department. And now Logan Forsythe, with a man in scoring position, has a chance to give the Rays an early lead. The first pitch is a strike. Logan singled in the first last night for the first run of the ball game for the Rays.
And I love the open right side of the infield against the hard-throwing Severino. You want to pitch him away with the slider or the heater. And you see Greg Bird here. He's well off the line. Okay. But right up the middle, you got Dustin Ackley. So you got that right side where he could pop one through and drive in the Rays' first run potentially.
We've seen Forsythe go through that hole on the right side. We've also seen him go up the line just by the bag at first a couple times. And a little tapper down to third. Headley's throw is there. The Rays leave a man at second base. We're headed into the second, no score.
Franchise record. Archer, in an inning and a third, fewer innings this year, has 65 more strikeouts, and our lows never stop improving. You can see he is one away from Scott Kazmir's franchise mark set in 2007, a year he led the league in strikeouts. And guys, he said yesterday when he addressed the media, I won't be thinking about it on the mound, and I do try and downplay the strikeouts, but he said it would mean a lot to him based on the many prolific pitchers with strikeouts over the Rays' history. Guys, back to you.
All right, well, he picked up 2 in the first to close to within 1, 238 on the year. He started the night second in the American League to Chris Sale in strikeouts. Carlos Beltran fouls this one out of play. Bird next, and then Headley. Upstairs, 2-2. So the 9-game hitting streak for Beltran. 306 for the life of the streak. Lines it foul. Rebound out onto the playing field.
And when you look at that streak, 9 games, there's been 11 hits. 10 of them have been singles. And Carlos Beltran at this point is a guy that you look for the doubles, the home runs, the productive hits. But it's been tough going lately for this lineup.
Full count. Well, as you mentioned, the one guy who has been swinging the bat is Alex Rodriguez. Tap. That ball will bounce foul. And again tonight, his lineup filled with left-handed hitters. Ellsbury left, Gardner left, Rodriguez right, and then back to left. McCann. Beltran a switch hitter. Bird left. Headley's a switch hitter. Gregorius a left-handed hitter. Ackley a lefty.
When you think about it, too, a lot of these guys are your regulars, so it really doesn't matter. They're a heavy left-handed hitting lineup, and you can understand with the building that they play in why you would build a team that way.
You know, they have collected a lot of hitters who are left-handed and tend to be fly ball hitters. And wouldn't you do that in New York?
It leads to home runs.
Yep. It's too low. Archer gives up a walk. Leadoff man on base for the second straight inning for New York. Well, how about this for splits between lefty-righty? 215 right-handed hitters off him and 212 lefties.
Yeah, and he'll give up the occasional home run. He supplies a lot of power. He's around the plate quite a bit. For a power pitcher, he doesn't walk many guys. This one notwithstanding. Now, Chris Archer, difficult on everybody.
First pitch to Greg Bird is a strike. Oh, 2. A couple of strike throwers here to begin this game. We've seen nothing but strikes on the first pitches of all these hitters. One and 2. Toward right center field. That's going to one-hop the wall. Come back to Kiermaier. Beltran's going to be waved around. There will be a throw to the plate. Not in time on the double by Bird. New York takes a 1-0 lead.
Well, and Carlos Beltran, who is not a blazer by any means, got a good read on that ball hit by Bird out into the gap. And right center field here is deep. This is a slider down and in. Bird gets the barrel to it, and you pop it all the way out there. And there's Beltran right there. Gets the read, and then he starts to go. And that's why he's able to make it all the way around for the Yankees' first run.
Now a man in scoring position. Nobody out. Here's Chase Headley. Pitch is up. Headley 1 out of 10 in his career against Archer. The Yankees have struck first. One and 1. Leadoff walk has cost Archer and the Rays a run. Ground ball second. Franklin on that right side from shortstop makes the play. Over to third base goes Bird. So the Yankees have a man at third with 1 out.
You were able to record an out for Chase Headley, who's another guy that's been struggling at the plate with production. 6 for his last 38 in his last 8-9 games. Got 1 home run, but a productive out there. You get the runner to third now with less than 2 outs. This is where Chris Archer and the strikeout comes into play. The ability to go and get one when you need one.
Infield will come up a bit. Gregorius in the box. He bounces it foul. First pitch, foul ball, and a strike. Pitch inside, 1-1. Bird's down at third. I'll tell you, Bird came into this game hitting just .235. He's made his presence felt against the Rays. And you put a man on base, he's much better. It's a limited number of at-bats, but that trend for him is very encouraging. Bases empties down around 150. And with men on base, he's up in the neighborhood of 330. Came through with a double with Beltran at first to drive him home. Now he's at third.
Well, and the Yankees are going to count on him to be productive. I mean, with Mark Teixeira out potentially for the rest of the season, Greg Bird is going to get the guy that's going to get the bulk of the playing time over there at first base, and so they're going to need him to come through.
Fastball, and Gregorius got the bat out to stay alive, fouling it.
That's all he did. That was a quick swing on a fastball that was middle in and up. And certainly now Chris Archer has put himself in that position to pick up the strikeout.
Missed inside. A little extra, 97 on that fastball in.
Anytime you're trying to pick up a strikeout on a fastball in on a guy, that's the one you've really got to get good extension on, and you've got to let it rip. And he did.
Ground ball first, grabbed by Loney. Out at first and holding at third, Bird. So Loney with the scoop. Archer hit the deck as Loney took a look toward the plate and then made the play at first.
Yeah, smart, because Loney's going to be able to get back to the bag, and as soon as you think that the play may be there, get out of the way and let Loney make the play one way or the other. You see him take a peek towards home and then get down. You don't want to be in the line of fire.
2 outs for the run home. Dustin Ackley is the hitter. It's a strike. Ackley hitting .228 total for the season between Seattle and the Yankees with 7 home runs. Nice stop right there by Rivera.
Now that's the one thing Rivera has been excellent at all season long. And this is a big one with that runner on third. A block like that matters. That pitch, that's a second one way out in front of the plate, and he's able to keep it right in front.
That's a strike. 1-2. Yankees left a man in the first. They have a man at third here in the second. Already scoring a run in this inning. 1-2 upstairs. Ackley in his career 1 out of 8 against Archer.
See, already choking up on that bat. You've got to be ready for that fastball 95 to 97. Got to be quick.
Way up and away with that one.
I'll tell you what, Rene Rivera making some saves here tonight. That fastball up and wide.
Three-two. Fly ball back into center. Kiermaier is waiting and puts it away to retire the side. 1 run, 1 left, 1-0 to an inning and a half, New York. Time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SSDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Rays and Kevin Cash looking for a series win tonight. Series even at a game apiece. Cash has James Loney in the lineup, and he'll lead off. Loney, Souza Jr., and Franklin in the second against Luis Severino. Fly ball lifted back into left. Gardner's still going. That ball carries over his head, bounds off the wall, and Loney's on his way to second. Lead-off double, and I'm not sure Gardner saw that ball immediately off the bat.
It seemed like he just kept drifting on it. I mean, that's a fly ball to left field by James Loney. Yes, he hit it hard, but Brett Gardner's got good speed and can cover a lot of ground out in left field. This ball left up. Loney able to get out in front on it and hit that fly ball. You see Gardner kind of that little half-moon route, and it gets over his head up against the wall. Rays right in business.
So Loney with a 2-base hit. It's been a while since he's come up with an extra base hit. Steven Souza Jr. takes it down. His last extra base hit was on the 28th of August against Kansas City. Everything had been singles until now, and he got that one over Gardner's head. So just like that, the Rays with a man in scoring position to begin the bottom of the inning. And Souza Jr. is ahead in the count, 2-0. Two and one. It's upstairs. Fastball at 96. 3-1 on Souza Jr. Nick Franklin on deck. And that's a ball upstairs. First two men aboard. In the game tonight and all season, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Nick Franklin connected last night in the 6th inning for a 2-run blast.
Well, he said Nick Rumbelow left me a mistake off-speed pitch. It was the changeup at the belt out over the heart of the plate. You got to credit Nick Franklin for doing what he's supposed to do with that pitch, and that's hit it hard. Fortunately for the Rays, it got out.
Franklin looks at a fastball for a strike. First two men aboard for the Rays in the 2nd inning. It's 1-1. With Vanover back to the plate, we mentioned he tends to widen the zone. He's not going to give you a lot of leeway up, and for that matter, not a lot of leeway down. Cut and a miss. 1-2. So he'll make a pitcher throw strike in those areas. Up and wide. Count evens at 2-2. Kevin Kiermaier's on deck. Franklin out on strikes on the fastball. That one in at 96. Second strikeout for Severino tonight.
Well, he needed one there, and he gets to 2 strikes. You see him power this fastball to the outside corner. And look at Nick Franklin. Nick Franklin, the backside starting to leak down the first base line. When you do that, you just really give away the outer half of the plate, and he's just not able to catch up to that pitch that may have been just a little bit off.
And we've noticed from the left side, he tends to do that with regularity.
Starts that move, that early move down towards first base as the swing is starting.
The ball down and in around the feet of Kevin Kiermaier.
And it's really tough to have that kind of movement in the middle of a swing. You think about Brett Laurie from out in Oakland, where he'll sometimes get moving towards the pitcher. So you're closing, you're gaining ground on the pitch as you're trying to swing and hit it. That's difficult.
1-1.
And you start to move away and open up that outer half or anything powerful that's up and in, and you start to limit where you can do damage in the strike zone.
Puts Kiermaier behind in the count. That fastball at 96. We saw the great arm from Severino up in New York. It's 2-2.
Well, these stuff guys, they'll have a tendency to kind of coast, and then they start to get into a little bit of trouble, like here the second, and all of a sudden the 96 is being brought out at 93 mile an hour, it looks like a cutter, a slider at 90, 91. You just start airing it out, trying to get out of this jam.
And there is strike 3 called at 97. So he's turned it up. He got Franklin missing on 96 and Kiermaier looking in at 97.
Well, this pitch ends up catching a lot of plate, but Kevin Kiermaier just not able to pull the trigger there, and he knew that pitch was in there. Rays down to their final out, trying to move these base runners along, tie this game up.
2 strikeouts with 2 men on, and here is Rene Rivera taking a big cut at a fastball. Strike 1. The slider around 90. 0-2.
Now this pitch has a lot of east to west type action. As you can see, it just sliding away from Rivera. Throws it hard, gets those fingers on the side of the baseball, and just rips down the side of it. And that's why you'll see occasionally that pitch will look like a cutter and even be a mile an hour or 2 harder.
0-2. It's fouled back. So we'll see another one. New York scored a run in the top of the inning. It's his breakout this year. Fastball, slider, and change.
And the one thing that he does well is he keeps a pretty consistent mix throughout an at-bat against a right-hander or a left-hander. I'll bet you right now you're going to see that slider again.
Ground ball headed toward the middle, but right there the flip to second, out, and the Rays do not score. Souza called out at second base. Kevin Cass just on the top step of the dugout. We'll take another look.
The flip is what takes time. Allows Souza to close ground, but Gregorius is able to beat him to the bag.
So the Rays leave 2 through 2. They are down 1-0. Mazda dealers. Top of the order in the top of the third for New York, Jacoby Ellsbury leading off against Chris Archer. Ellsbury fouls it out of play. Archer has to really be scratching his head here about Ellsbury. He's had a difficult time with him throughout his career. In fact, he was on 3 times in 4 plate appearances against Archer in New York, 2 with hits and 1 with a walk. And then he singled, even though he'd been in the midst of this terrible slump. He singled his first time up on a little roller. Didn't hit it hard, but perfectly placed through the left side. It's a strike on the edge. 1 and 2. So Ellsbury right now is 15 out of 22 in his career against Archer.
Hard to imagine that anybody could put those numbers up against Archer. I don't care who you are. But like we talked earlier in this series, you always have that guy. You hope it's just one guy, because you're going to have.
Look at that.
You don't want it to be 3 or 4 guys with numbers like this, but you're always going to have one. And for Chris Archer, it's Jacoby Ellsbury. And you got to figure out what you can do differently to get him out, because you're more than capable of doing that.
Well, he got him that time on a slider down and in. So he picks up his 3rd strikeout, which ties him now with Scott Kazmir with 239 on the all-time Rays list. Let's check in quickly with Rich Hollenberg. Rich?
All right, guys, as you know, it's Web Wednesday. Get on your phones, get on your tablets, get on your computers, and you can use Twitter or Gmail to ask Brian Anderson and Dwayne Stats a question. And a lot of questions coming in about Blake Snell. Of course, today it was announced that he was Baseball America's Minor League Player of the Year, adding to a stockpile of awards for the Rays minor leaguer, as we see Chris Archer with the first pitch. And it's called a strike. And guys, a lot of people are asking not only what his immediate future is, but what his future is with the Rays. And I should add that this question is the most popular. A close second, as usual, it's about Brian Anderson's mug for some reason.
Well, there's a pitch outside the zone. Change-up, it's 1-1. Well, first things first.
Right.
I mean, Snell had just a great year. He doesn't have to be on the 40-man roster, and that's to the advantage long-term of the Rays. And as we know, the Rays have never been of a mindset to rush outstanding prospects through the minor leagues into the big leagues.
No, and you know what? The numbers that he put up, I don't care what levels you're playing at, a 1.41. He had the scoreless streak. He's a tall, lanky, strong left-hander. That fastball in the mid-90s. Good stuff all around it. I'm telling you, you just keep your eye on him. You know that he's going to get an opportunity to come into spring training and open some eyes. And certainly what he did this year gives him a full offseason of confidence and getting ready to roll. And you assume that he's going to be part of that next wave, the next wave of a starter that's going to come up and make a splash for this Rays ball club.
Yeah, we talked about him the other day, a strikeout of Gardner. So back-to-back strikeouts for Archer, and he takes over the franchise lead in strikeouts, a franchise record in a single season. 240 strikeouts for Chris Archer this year. He surpasses Scott Kazmir with this strikeout of Brett Gardner.
And why not do it on that plus slider, good depth, and now right back to work.
There's Alex Rodriguez. Pitch is down, a ball, no strikes to Rodriguez. Now, we talked earlier about the year that Blake Snell had and discussed how fun it will be next spring. That's really something to look forward to next spring when he shows up.
And that's my guy to watch.
Yeah.
You've got Tyler Motter.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Blake Snell.
So we're staking out spring training plans already. One the count to A-Rod. And that pitch is wide, 2-1. Care to address the second part of that question?
The mug? I thought that on the promotion for Web Wednesday, I thought it looked really good from the left side. I think I scared off all the children. I've been cut out of all the opens and pregame shows since then, after the first game of this series, and for good reason. But we're making progress every day.
Yeah, and it's better. Believe me. 2-2 now the count to Alex Rodriguez. I'll just say this. You should not attempt that handstand on the handlebars of the bike again.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding. Way too much damage done.
A lot of talent, a lot of athletic ability. That one we're going to call it quits. So it's a full count here. See, it looks good.
Yeah, I mean,
how about that?
Yeah, it's not so much here or here, but it's more like in here where the problem lies. So
there you are. Looks good from there.
Let's just put it this way. Every time I go into the bathroom, I flip the light on, I feel like there's someone over my shoulder. Like, who's behind me? Oh,
who is that?
That's just the other part of my head.
Swelling has gone down each day.
Not drooling anymore.
Good. It truly was a bicycle accident.
Yeah.
It was.
It was a fight with the sidewalk that I lost badly.
Strike 3 called. Alex Rodriguez called out on strikes. Archer strikes out the side. He got Gardner to claim the franchise record in single season strikeouts. 1-0 New York. Kids cap off a great September weekend at the ballpark Sunday the 20th when the Rays take on the Orioles. And kids 14 and under in attendance receive a Rays knitted cap while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. John Jaso, top of the order, leading it off for the Rays. Second time through for the Rays against Luis Severino. Ground ball, and that's hit directly to Gregorius up the middle. Jaso is out of there. Well, the shift has worked twice against Jaso, this time with the shortstop Gregorius just on the first base side of second. Jaso hit the ball right to him.
Yeah, and you talk about these guys, an up the middle approach against a hard thrower, and Jaso does that, but guess what? That's right where the defense is. How frustrating for a hitter.
Ricky Matuk, and the pitch is upstairs, 1-0. Career high 3 hits last night. He's picked up a couple of steals in each of the last 2 games. So he's continued to be written into the lineup by Kevin Cash. Accomplished 2 things with that. He has been producing, number 1.
Yeah.
And number 2, you get a better look at him with an eye toward the future.
Especially, against these teams. I mean, the Yankees, they've got to win as bad as anybody in the game right now. They're trying to catch the Toronto Blue Jays 3 games back of them. Toronto's already out to a pretty hefty lead over the Atlanta Braves in tonight's ball game. So you're getting to play teams that are desperate for wins. Of course, your team is also. But I like the move. I mean, if you're going to go out, get an opportunity and produce, then you're rewarded for that. And Matuk out there again. We got to see a lot of them against those lefties, and he did enough to show that he deserves a couple opportunities against righties.
Full count to him. He bounces this one foul. You'll see another 3-2 pitch from Severino. So this is the 27th game Matuk has been in. A cut and a miss out on strikes. When the Rays drafted him, they really looked at him as a potential starting outfielder to get through the system out of LSU and through the minor leagues, hoping that he can develop into an everyday player.
Well, he's got athleticism. We've seen some pop out of his bat. Big kid. Can cover some ground in the outfield. Although with Kiermaier in center, you don't have to cover that much. Anything outside of normal is a bonus. But getting that opportunity, and that's all that you can ask for.
A ball, no strikes, the count to Evan Longoria. No. Two one. Had the count, and he got the fastball. Severino threw it by him. Something he can do with this arm. He's 96, 97 with the fastball.
Especially when he elevates even just a little bit.
Down to third. Headley gloves and throws. And the Rays are up and down 1-2-3. On to inning 4 we go. It is 1-0 New York. 1-0 game headed into the fourth.
Well, Chris Archer, he's been powerful, that's for sure. The fastball has been good. The breaking ball had a couple of mistakes. Greg Bird was able to take advantage of a slider breaking down and in to drive in the only run of this game, driving in Carlos Beltran. Right there, he gets the Rays franchise record for strikeouts against Brett Gardner and has already added on to that.
Moving beyond the mark held by Scott Kazmir. So 5 strikeouts tonight, 241 on the year. And there's a strike to Brian McCann to take the count to 1-1. Chris Sale leading the American League with 250 strikeouts. Now 241 for Archer. Blake Kershaw with the Dodgers has 264.
I'll tell you the other thing to keep an eye on is coming into this start, Chris Archer 7 2/3 innings away from something that he's never done before, that every starter wants to do, and that's to get to 200 innings. Came in with 192 1/3. So he's got a chance to get there tonight as well.
You know, that's really part of the legacy that he wants to fill behind the likes of James Shields and David Price. He wanted to ascend to that level and has worked hard to get to where he is right now. Full count on McCann.
Well, the one thing that you can guarantee, you know, if you get 32 starts in a season, if you're throwing 200+ innings, that means on average you're getting deep into every game. Yeah. If you're getting deep into every game, that means you're pitching well enough to get deep into every game, and you're giving your team a chance to win.
And there's a strike call on the 3-2 slider. He gets McCann looking. 3 consecutive strikeouts now, and the first out in the fourth.
Well, apparently he wants to take this strikeout record and run and hide with it. He breaks it. He's already added on twice. That's 4 in a row. And this one looking.
Struck out the side in the third. And the fourth straight. He got Ellsbury and Gardner looking in the third. Rodriguez, the third strike. And boy, that ball, Souza almost lost it in the lights and stayed with it to retire Beltran.
Let's take a look. Everything looks good until about now. Looks good right up until the ball went into the glove.
Yeah, really. So Beltran's out of there. 2 gone, and here's Greg Bird. Strike 1 to Bird on a fastball. Roller, that ball fouled off his foot. So it's a 2-strike count. A run, 2 hits for New York. A run produced on a walk to Beltran and a double by Bird. 1 and 2. Left side. It's Longoria across his body and a strike to Loney. Nice play. He was the only man on that side of the infield, and Longoria made a nice play to get Bird. Well, Chris Archer with 6 strikeouts tonight We go to the bottom of the fourth. It's 1-0 New York. Game. Keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.tv. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on more than 400 devices with MLB.tv Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service every night on every device. Visit MLB.tv for details. First pitch to Forsythe, down and away. Rays facing Luis Severino. Loney will be next, and then Souza Jr. facing Severino out of the Dominican Republic. Two-one to count. Severino, a quick trip through the minor leagues. Last year he was at 2 A-ball stops in the Yankees system, and then eventually Double-A at Trenton. And to right, that ball will be caught by the sliding Beltran. Appeared it had a chance to drop, and Beltran got there.
Boy, he closed quickly and picked this thing right off in the turf. I'm with you. I thought that ball was going to get down. Nice play.
James Loney opened the second with a double and was left on base. Ground ball from short right center. Ackley up, makes the throw, but it's not in time. With the shift on, Ackley angled out there to get to it, but had a long throw to make, and Loney has a base hit.
Yeah, and I don't think Ackley had a chance at all. I mean, he went down, slid to grab this ball. Even if he stays on his feet, that's going to be a long throw. And Loney was hustling out of the box, and he beats it easily. I don't think there was any way to get this one. Loney able to hit into that shift and yet beat it.
He has both Rays hits tonight. Here's Steven Souza Jr. He walked in the second inning, Souza. Big cut. Missed the fastball, and it's 1-1. Foul up the right side, out of play. Souza down in the count. 1 on, 1 out. Ooh, a strike on the corner. The slider. And we've seen Vanover consistently willing to make that call out there on the corner, away from right-handed hitters. That's an excellent pitch.
It is. I mean, that ball is right across the thighs, right on the outside corner. That's that pitch, that slider that it sometimes will resemble more of a cutter than an actual slider, especially when you compare it to the slider of Chris Archer. They get so much depth. Severino's not nearly as much.
Franklin after the fastball and misses. Strike 1.
You know, we talked early about the stuff that's away. If he's going to be moving up the first base line, stuff away is going to give him trouble. And also the hard stuff, middle in and up. And we just saw it right there for strike 1.
Off the plate in, 1-1.
If it's a little bit further down, he's got a chance to get to that pitch. But if it stays elevated, practically none.
One and 2. Hard stuff at 95.
Stay hard away or hard middle in up.
The left side, twisting out of play or out of the reach of Gardner, and then bouncing into the stands. The Rays have had runners in 3 of the 4 innings and been in scoring position in 2 of those innings, have yet to score. Loney's at first base right now. Severino thought he had a strike there. It's 2-2.
That was a pretty interesting pitch. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, see, that's that pitch down, and that's interesting. I mean, that was a great pitch.
Sure was.
Not always going to get the pitch down, or up for that matter.
And haven't seen too many that he's called that's off the plate to counteract that. And that's where it gets frustrating. You know, you make a good pitch like that, you say, really? Really? Now I got to try to get strike 4.
Cut and a miss. Franklin out on strikes, missed the fastball. On to the 5th, 1-0 New York.
strikeout record. He is also the Rays Roberto Clemente Award nominee, which is given out to one player from every team this year, and it has to do more with what you do off the field than what you do on the field. Chris Archer said earlier it's an honor, especially for what Roberto Clemente stood for, the human being. You see his numbers, guys. He was a Hall of Famer in every sense of the word for the Pirates, but Archer said he's everything I want to be off the field. And interestingly enough, his battery mate, Rene Rivera, who is from Puerto Rico, which is where, of course, Roberto Clemente came from, as we see a pop fly into shallow center field for the first out for Archer. Rene Rivera said there was Roberto Clemente growing up, and then there was everyone else. For Puerto Rican children playing baseball, Dwayne and Brian, he said all Latin players considered him our Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, no question about that, for what he did on and off the field. I spent time with Jose Cruz when he was in Houston out of Puerto Rico. Felt exactly the same way about Roberto Clemente. And of course, who could ever forget the throw he made in the '71 World Series? If you haven't seen that, I guess just Google it and you'll find it. Just put Roberto Clemente throw from the right field corner for the Pirates against the Orioles in the '71 World Series. One of the greatest throws you'll ever see from an outfielder. One strike to count to Gregorius. Headley popping out to center field with Franklin out there to make the catch. And now it's 1-1 to Gregorius. One and two. Check swing, and that foul ball is out of play. Here's some highlights of the great Roberto Clemente. We talk about that '71 World Series. He not only was great in the field, but he was a hitting star in that World Series. Had hits in all 7 games. As a young player, was with the Pirates in 1960 against the Yankees when Bill Mazeroski hit that great home run. And as a young player in that World Series, he hit in every game in that one as well, and again in '71. Count is full on Didi Gregorius. It's Dustin Ackley on deck. There's ball 4. So the second walk given up by Chris Archer. Well, Archer, the Rays nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award. And this is one of the reasons why spending time not only here in Tampa Bay, but around the major leagues, whether the team was in Philadelphia or home or Detroit, various stops around the major leagues. Chris Archer took time to spend part of his day with the youth of those communities, extolling the virtues of this game and the RBI program, reviving baseball in the inner cities. That's critical not only to the youth of those cities, but to this game. Strike the count on Dustin Ackley.
Well, you start to think, where's the next generation going to come from?
Yeah, and that's a legitimate question with all the sports available out there. And of course, we see the best athletes on a daily basis. They're special to get to this point. They've beaten all the odds just getting to the major leagues, and they need more, particularly, I think, from the inner cities.
Well, the thing that's different about baseball compared to some other sports is it's an everyday sport. You know, it's something that you have to work at every day. I mean, it can't be, hey, I'll go to practice on Tuesday and then we're going to play a game on Saturday. That doesn't work in baseball. No, it doesn't work in a lot of sports, but really not in baseball. There's a reason that these games are every single day, and why when you're going to play, it's every single day. It's a huge time commitment, and you want to keep kids fired up about playing it. It's not as glamorous as maybe some of the other sports. Doesn't move as fast, maybe.
Mata comes in from left.
Or it's not as convenient for parents.
Yeah, and that's a big part as well. There's no question there are a lot of facets to this game. Obviously, it's a great game and has a lot to offer, but it is a game that demands that you put something into it. And I think that's true whether you're a participant or a viewer or a fan. This is not a passive game. It will give you a lot back if you give something to it. And I think that's true across the board. Fan, viewer, player, whatever you're doing with this game, you have to engage it, and you'll be rewarded. But you can't just sit back and say, feed me. That doesn't work that way. Jacoby Ellsbury takes the pitch high. Runner at first with 2 gone. Ellsbury had a base hit in the first. He singled in the third. One and one. Yeah, here's a good example of how difficult this game is to play. Jacoby Ellsbury. This guy's he's a quality major league player and had a streak of 0 for 25. Now you got to deal with that. And he's been a great player.
And keep your confidence up. And your belief that the next time you're going to get a hit like that.
Single into right. Gregorius will stop at second base. Ellsbury is aboard in the 5th.
Ellsbury, who has had good numbers off Chris Archer, well documented. This pitch misses its location, and Ellsbury able to pull the hands in close to the body. Look how close. I mean, just off the belt. And able to get the barrel to the baseball, get it into right field, and now 2 runners aboard with 2 outs.
Now Brett Gardner. And it's a 1-0 game, and here with 2 outs, Archer facing 2 men on, and the number 2 hitter in the lineup, Brett Gardner. Strike 1. Missed the slider.
Boy, Brett Gardner has really been turning the swing loose, and we talked about it coming into this game. In his last 3, 0 for 11. Now make that 0 for 13 with a couple of strikeouts here tonight.
The Rays thought they might have had a strike there. It's 1-1.
That was awfully close. Good fastball there by Archer, especially in the count. 0-1. That's close enough.
Up just out of the zone. One and 2.
And those are the pitches that Gardner typically does not miss. That was a slider there that stayed middle of the plate, and he just swings right through it. That's a pitch to hit, and he's underneath it.
Walk to Gregorius, base hit for Ellsbury. 2 on, 2 men away. In the dirt, runner's going to try to advance, and he is safe at third. Gregorius moves to third. The recovery by Rivera, the throw right down on the bag, but Gregorius got in there.
Well, the anticipation by Gregorius. How about the handling of the glove by Longoria? You got a guy sliding in. That ball's a little bit off to his left and low. Eyes stay on it. Nice catch. It was a good throw. Just a better jump and anticipation by Gregorius and able to get in there.
It's a wild pitch charged to Archer. Here's another example of the development of Gregorius. It's a nice move up. 2-2. Gardner lifts a fly ball toward left center. Kiermaier there running under it to make the grab. 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Still 1-0 New York. Grow Financial. Don't go through life, grow through life. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Tampa Bay Mazda dealers. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. That'll make you hungry there. On to the bottom of the 5th, halfway through the game. Kevin Kiermaier leads off and fouls the first pitch out of play. Strike 1. Carlos Pena has stopped by the booth. Great to see you. How you doing?
Busy? Yeah.
Yeah. No. All right. We're looking
Very
forward
good.
to seeing him Friday. Same here.
I hope you come to terms.
Fly ball to right, and Beltran handles that one. Probably saw the news already that Carlos Pena is going to sign a deal with the Rays on Friday and then immediately retire so he can officially retire as a Ray.
And that's if the terms are right.
Yeah.
You don't want to tip the hand yet.
There you are. Well, there you are.
He's here to negotiate.
Yeah.
Hoping to have it done by the weekend.
And I like the advice that you gave me. You know, I hope you come to terms. You don't rush into it. They might put a little something sweeter on the table. Rivera lines a base hit into left. Carlos Pena doing some TV work now, and will sign that contract Friday. And then throw out the first pitch. You know, we were talking about that early. He's going to throw out the first pitch. We should have him swing the bat or make a great play at first or something in lieu of the first pitch.
Unless it's been his lifelong dream to pitch,
yep,
then yeah, you got to go the other route. I think.
Yeah, I think that'd be
a
great.
A little twist on the ceremonial first.
Yeah, thinking outside the box.
Could be a ceremonial first anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Rays.
Yep. not a slave to tradition.
No.
The Rays. We've learned that the past few years. 2-0 the count on Jaso.
The reason it's called the Rays way. Not anybody else's way. It's the Rays way.
Rivera back in at first base. Liner into left. That's in there. Rivera is going to head to third. Into second goes Jaso, and the Rays get a double out of that. Now they've got something cooking with 1 out and 2 men in scoring position.
Now that's John Jaso, and really solid contact out into left center field. That ball hit hard. Guess what? That forces defenders, in this case the outfielders, to take deep angles. They can't run straight across and get this ball. It was hit too hard. So watch the angles that have to be taken. They got to take deeper angles to get to the baseball. That takes time. That allows the base runners to take extra bases.
And Mikey Montook is up here with a chance to enhance his credentials. Getting a chance to start again tonight. Montook coming off a 3-hit night last night with a run scored and a stolen base. Takes the pitch that's in there for a strike.
Well, Severino, more than anything else right now, is going to go for that strikeout. The kind of pitcher that he is, the trouble that he's in right now. Yankees conceding that run up the middle with their middle infielders.
And a strike out there on the corner.
Look at the way the first 2 pitches for Severino, 2 of his better all night. Inside corner, strike 1, and there's that little cutter. 91, you can call that a slider. That ball's a cutter right there. And 91 right to the outside corner for strike 2.
On the right side. You know, when we saw him in New York, and the word was he has his veteran-like presence and demeanor out there, that pitch was a pretty good example of that. That 2-strike pitch.
Well, the first pitch in to crowd him. You know, he knows Mikey Montook wants to swing here, drive this run in, maybe drive 2 in. So you crowd him with the fastball, you get the call. Then you sweep that little breaking ball right to the outside corner. Now you expand and you trust your catcher, Brian McCann, to make a heck of a backhand on that ball in the dirt. Runner on third. Have a whole lot of time to think about this. Gonna try to climb the ladder here.
1-2. Bounds it back. Fastball.
And McCann immediately going out to talk to him. That pitch was meant to be up. They're trying to get the swing and a miss, and wasn't up far enough at all.
Two, little tap back to the hill, out at first, and the runners have to hold. Came in with a fastball and gets the second out.
Mikey Montook, he's trying to put the ball in play. If it's away from him, you think in middle of the field. He's not able to get it over the head of Severino, and now with 2 outs, that brings up Evan Longoria in this situation. You better believe they're going over a game plan here. Third time Evan has seen Severino here tonight.
Evan has struck out and grounded out. He did hit a home run off him in New York. Pitch is down. One and one. Him up. Severino and McCann makes the catch. He held on. Severino knew McCann did not find that immediately, and he hustled in trying to make the catch, and then McCann suddenly located it and made quite a grab right here, and then held on. And the Rays threat. Game. Chris Archer with 6 strikeouts tonight. Touch for the run in the second inning. Greg Bird doubled home Carlos Beltran, who had been walked to open the inning. Back to work Archer goes here in the 6th with Alex Rodriguez taking a fastball inside. 1-0. Rodriguez twice is a strikeout victim of Archer tonight. Sends a high fly ball into center. Not overly deep, but Kiermaier's there waiting. Rodriguez is 0 for 3. One gone, and now Brian McCann. How about McCann finding that little foul ball off the bat of Longoria? Here's another look at that.
And not easy at all. This ball up. Look at McCann. That's why Severino, and he still couldn't find it until the last minute. And even when he did make the catch, that ball into the catcher's glove and then right to the edge, a snow cone, as he was heading to the ground.
Two and on. You know who didn't give up on that play? Larry Vanover, the plate umpire. Even when McCann started to head to the dugout, he was looking in to make sure he caught that ball.
And Ron Kolpa, too, was circling around. Both of them had that play pinned from third base and from home plate. And that's the one thing, too, about replay. If there was any question, you know, Kevin Cashwood, in that situation especially, is going to jump out and want to take a look, but it was a clean catch. I think, too, that's something, and that's an unfortunate walk right there, but that's something these umpires, they understand. You know, with replay there, they cannot afford to not be on top of every single play, putting themselves in position to get that call right.
So the walk to McCann. 3 walks given up by Archer tonight. Here's Carlos Beltran. He has walked and scored, line to right. Shot foul down toward the bullpen for a strike. Yankees 0 for 4 with men in scoring position. The Rays 0 for 4 with men in scoring position. The only run came after the walk to Beltran to begin the second inning, and the double by Bird got him home. Fly ball center field. Kiermaier angling back is there, and he'll make the catch. And retreating to first is McCann. So 2 gone here in the 6th inning. Kiermaier making that grab, and let's check in with Todd Callis for a moment.
Yeah, good timing with this, Dwayne, because the Yankees have a game in batting practice where Joe Girardi's behind the cage, and occasionally on one of the rounds they'll play a legitimate game. So if a guy gets a base hit, then maybe a double, tries to move the runner over. The biggest arguments come on those tweener balls to center field. Is it a hit or a catch? Girardi says usually if it's a tweener, he'll say Kiermaier would have caught it. So even his defensive prowess is making its way into Yankees batting practice. Guys, back to you.
There you go. He has been something to watch out there this year in center field. Already, well, you look at the numbers and it supports this notion that he is the Gold Glove winner out there this year in center field. He has his own colleagues saying that.
Well, he's let it be known that that's one of his goals. That's what he wants to accomplish. And quite frankly, his play, it should be a no-brainer. It really should. He's been that good. I mean, you know, we're obviously biased. We get to cover this team and watch him play every single day, but just amazed at the ground that he covers relative to his peer group. He just is at a different level.
They made the catch on Beltran's fly ball for the second out. Bird now up in the count 3-0, and Archer up to 102 pitches. And he walks Bird. So 2 walks in this inning, and both of these were 4-pitch walks. Jim Hickey trots to the mound.
It's just uncharacteristic for Chris Archer. You know, for a power pitcher, he's about 2.4 walks per 9 innings. You can live with that because of the number of strikeouts that he will give you. But uncharacteristic, the 4-pitch walk, let alone 2 in 1 inning.
So McCann's at second and Bird's at first. We had a shot of Riefenhauser up in the bullpen. This Yankee lineup predominantly hitting from the left side with a couple of switch hitters in there, including Headley. And he'll be up here now. And a key hitter with the way Severino's throwing the ball. Severino threw 5, has 74 pitches. And the first pitch is a ball up and away to Headley, and you could see Rivera right there motioning to Archer to stay on top. Finds a strike there with a fastball. Two balls and a strike. Yankees with a run on 3 hits. Rays no runs, 4 hits. foul out of play. 2-2. Left side, shallow left. Maltic with the pickup. McCann will score. The throw high. To third goes Bird. Headley up to second.
And Mikey Maltic looking to make a play there. There was going to be no play at home plate. The high throw, two things. Number one, it allows Headley to get up to second base. And number two, they may have had a shot at Bird at third base. This ball soft served. No way you're going to get the runner here at home. You got a chance at the runner at third, Bird, and the high throw allows Headley to get to second. So no one could cut that. And that's a young player trying to make a play in a tight game.
And that soft single into left makes it 2-0. Now 2 men in scoring position. Gregorius takes a strike.
Well, this right here, it could be the at-bat of the game, because you're thinking about the way Severino's throwing the baseball, the back end of that Yankee bullpen. You cannot allow any more than 2 at this point.
That's why that play from left is so important.
Oh, yeah. And that's why Archer's got to come up big and bail him out.
0-2.
Well, I'd like to have seen him just come up and try to peg Bird at third, because he had a shot. He was shallow. Bird had a ways to go. Longoria was there.
Yeah, then you're out of the inning. It's 2-0, and now you still got to get this hitter with 2 men in scoring position. Just a piece of that one. Got that bat out there and fouled it.
Right
here
here.
it is.
Look at that. Look where Bird is. Right here. Longoria could clearly retreat to the bag, but there was no way with the full head of steam that the throw to the plate was going to get anybody.
Well, you could see Longoria retreating and calling for the ball as he was on his way to third.
He's given Maltic an option there, and it would have been. Obviously, listen. You look back on it, you can say that.
It's a heat of the moment.
It's a heat of the moment, and you're trying to cut that run at the plate. That's a tough call. Tough call to concede the run and go after somebody else.
A ball, 2 strikes. Still 1-2. This is the 3rd inning. Archer's had 20 or more pitches tonight. 113 on the evening. Rivera heads to the mound before this pitch. Bird at third, Headley at second. The 1-2 again, and it's fouled out of play one more time. The base hit by Headley A soft liner into left, only his second hit in 13 at bats against Archer. But it got a run home, and he wound up at second on the throw to the plate. Got him, struck him out. Fastball gets Gregorius swinging. We go to the bottom of the sixth. It's 2-0 New York. Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Chris Archer touched for a couple runs on 4 hits and 4 walks tonight through 6.
Well, the 4 walks, very uncharacteristic. Greg Bird got to that slider down and in. Does have the 7 strikeouts. Locked in a pitcher's duel. And here Chase Headley just insides out this breaking ball. Found ground. That ball popped in. McCann's able to score. But it was the 2 4-pitch walks in that inning that even allowed that hit and that run to happen.
Well, there is the strikeout race right now. Chris Sale 250 and Archer at 240 on the Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Coors Light.
And that's what's eating at Chris Archer. Not the fact, obviously not happy with Headley inside outing that ball, getting the hit and driving in the run, but the 2 walks drive you nuts.
Here's the thing. Both runs that scored reached via the walk.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Forsythe bounces it foul. It's 1-2. Beltran walked to open the second. He scored. McCann walked with 1 out in the 6th, and he has scored.
Did you just read his lips? Too many walks. Too many walks. He said it. That's exactly why he's as angry as he is right now.
Two and two.
You know, he's a guy that by virtue of his stuff and the ability to get strikeouts, he's going to walk a couple of guys and outing. You'd like not to, but, you know, he's, like I said, about a 2.4 per 9. You can live with that, being the power pitcher he is, averaging about 11 strikeouts per 9. But the 4 tonight in 6 innings, that he does not typically do that. And as you mentioned, half of those scored, and that's the difference in the game.
Forsythe got a pitch up, a fastball with a little something on it, had a pretty good cut, fouled it back. And we'll see the 2-2 again. Chops this one foul. Loney next, and then Souza Jr. In the final analysis, the Rays are going to have to figure out how to score some runs tonight. And as you mentioned, Severino has been very good, and then you get to the back end of their bullpen. things get tough.
Yep, very tough. You'd like to make your move now. They've had Severino in trouble a couple of different times in this game.
Up to short. Gregorius whips his throw to first. One away in the 6th. Head to the Trop Saturday when the Rays take on the Orioles. All fans receive the Jay Odorizzi bobblehead, sponsored by Suncoast Credit Union while supplies last. And after the game, stick around for a special post-game concert by Sister Hazel. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Here's James Loney. He is 2 for 2 tonight. 2 of the 4 Rays hits.
How about the job that Odorizzi did last night, battling through 6 innings. Didn't have his best stuff and still gave his team a chance. Quality start. Picks up a win.
2-0. You know, he's 8-8 now, and well, you could make such a case for him having a handful of additional wins, but he's battled every time out. That's been a great trademark of Odorizzi's season. There's a base hit the other way, and Loney is 3 for 3 out of the reach of the diving Gregorius. We'll see if the Rays can take advantage of this base hit by Loney this time.
Continues to use the other side of the field. This ball inside. Drops the bat head, hits it hard enough. Gregorius shading up the middle, not able to get back to it. Now you need to get Souza Jr. going, and good a time as any right now.
Walked in the 2nd, was called out on strikes in the 4th. Not looking at a slider. Pitch is down. Wilson up in the bullpen for New York. It's a slider in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Justin Wilson busy down the left field line, and Riefenhauser has been joined by Eddie Romero up the right field side in the Rays bullpen.
This is going to depend on what the score of this ball game is coming out of this inning. You figure Romero, if the Rays are tied or in the lead, and Riefenhauser if not.
2-1 on Souza Jr. Talk between McCann and Severino.
I'm sure McCann saying, hey, let's not mess around here. Got a 2-run lead. You're falling behind Souza Jr. You've already got a runner aboard.
High fly ball into center field. Ellsbury back near the track, and that ball winds up off the bottom of the wall. He lost it. Loney's around third. He's going to score. Souza stops at second, and the Rays get a run. Ellsbury seemed to have a beat on that, and suddenly it fell behind him and off the bottom of the wall. And I think Kevin Cash wants to talk this one over with Larry Vanover to see if it didn't touch the ring out there. And if it did touch one of the back 2 rings, that's a home run. See suddenly a change in direction. And we're going to see if that ball made contact with one of the rings. Either of the 2 back rings, if it made contact, that's a home run. So we'll see.
And I never saw it. I was following it. It seemed to be a fly ball that was going to be medium deep center field, and Ellsbury would have a play on. And then all of a sudden, like you said, he throws his arms up and that ball hits off the wall. So either he just didn't pick it up. We've seen visiting players have problems with this roof time and again. But either way, for the Rays, it's going to turn out positive. You're either going to have this game tied, or you got Souza Jr. out at second base with one out.
And you can see the way Ellsbury played it. Unusual to have him do this. Now he lost it right there.
Yeah, he's in trouble. In trouble. Uh-oh. And it's too late at that point. What happened between the ball leaving the bat and ending up off the wall is anybody's guess. I have no idea.
Souza's at second base right now. This play under review here on the field right now. It's a double. You know, it can get complicated up there for an outfielder. Sometimes we've just seen them lose it with that background, and if it gets up there around either one of those rings, that makes it difficult to track. And then if it hits, then you see it pop in a different direction. Be an interesting situation here. So he's going to get a double out of that. So a double for Souza, driving in Loney to make it a 2-1 ball game. Ellsbury loses it there. And hard to determine if he just lost it or if it hit something up there. But it goes as a double, and now here's Nick Franklin. Ball one, a fastball wide. 13th double for Souza Jr. The Rays have a run on 6 hits. Franklin takes a strike. Franklin connected for a 2-run home run in the 6th inning last night. Big hit. It's wide, 2-1. Three and one. It's foul right back into the screen. Loney has scored. Souza's at second. Big strikeout for Severino. The fastball by Franklin, and that's the 3rd time he's used the fastball to strike him out.
And this one, he climbs the ladder just a hair more. That ball up around the letters. And Franklin, that's a tough pitch to get to when it's got that kind of velocity on it.
That's going to be it for Severino. We'll be back with a new pitcher in a moment. Greg. Severino with 7 strikeouts tonight. 21-year-old right-hander departs with the.
Well, and over the course of his 5+ innings, 5 2/3, he saved his best for when he was in the most trouble. Brought out the velocity, the slider.
Kevin Kiermaier takes the ball.
And overall, I mean, an old-fashioned pitcher's duel. Giving up 1 run so far, just the 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Awfully impressive for such a young pitcher with not a whole lot of big league time.
Kiermaier faced Wilson here in the opening game of this series Monday. Singled into right. Rays have Souza at second with 2 outs. 67th game of the year for Wilson. They take low. 2-0. McCann spending time on the mound. Kiermaier 0 for 2 tonight.
And I'll tell you what, Justin Wilson is almost all fastballs, especially lefty on lefty and falling behind in the count. And he's got a good one, mid-90s. And you see right now, Kevin Kiermaier might have that chance, a fastball away, just to shoot it in the hole into left field.
A little tapper up the right side, foul.
He went with the cutter there at 90 and able to get Kiermaier to roll over it. With that fastball up in that 94-96 range, he could shoot that pitch the other way. Gregorius shading up the middle. Got a lot of room on that left side, and it's only manned by Chase Headley.
Kiermaier fouls that fastball back. It's 2-2. foul the other way. So the battle continues between Wilson and Kevin Kiermaier, with the Rays trailing by a run. That's Rene Rivera on deck. Two, and a cut and a miss. Kiermaier out on strikes. The Rays get a run and trail 2-1. As promised earlier in this game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag SS Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. C.J. Riefenhauser, the new pitcher for the Rays, on to face the bottom part of the order. Dustin Ackley's due, but they're going to lift him. Ackley, a left-handed hitter. And with Riefenhauser in, we're going to see Chris Young come off the bench to hit. So Young will hit for Ackley, and then Ellsbury and Gardner are due up. Young pinch hit last night for Stephen Drew in the 7th inning against Eddie Romero and line to center. There's a breaking pitch in for a strike. Foul ball. Fastball there. 88, 89.
That lower arm angle from Riefenhauser, able to cut that ball in there right off the bat of Chris Young. You know, the one thing that we've seen from Chris Young, and this is even going back to last year when he came over from the Mets, the ability for the long ball, hit big home runs for this team. We saw already 14 this year.
Pops it into shallow center, angling out Forsythe, and he makes the catch. It's the first out of the 7th. We'd mentioned earlier that Texas had taken a half-game lead in the AL West over Houston, entertaining Houston again tonight. That game's in the bottom of the 5th. Texas 7 and Houston nothing. Keuchel's still in there pitching for Houston. Home runs for Texas by Napoli, Odor, and Fielder. And there's the half-game difference right now, and Texas with a 7-run lead at the moment.
The Astros obviously feeling it. I mean, they get passed for the first time in a long time in walk-off fashion last night. They send their ace to the mound tonight, and it is not going his way, or their way for that matter. How about that?
Did he go? He held up. Ellsbury did. 2-0. Ellsbury 2 for 3 tonight against Archer, facing the lefty Riefenhauser. It's a strike. 2-1. Another left-handed bat on deck. That's Brett Gardner. Three balls and a strike. Rays have out hit New York by 2, 6-4, trailed 2-1. Yankee pitching giving up just a walk. Archer walked 4 while he was in there in 6 innings. That's a strike, and the count is full. Strike 3 call. Ellsbury trying to coax the walk. And Larry Vanover calls him out on strikes.
Well, that's the coin flip part of the strike zone. Breaking ball, it's definitely on the plate. It's down. And we've seen this sometimes yes, sometimes no. And Rays get it this time, and that's the second out.
Brett Gardner, a couple of strikeouts and a fly ball to center. Slider in for a strike. That's a strike. Copa down at third, says he did go.
Well, the Yankees, especially the left-handed hitters here between Gardner and Ellsbury, have not been able to figure out that breaking ball of Riefenhauser. That arm angle gives him the ability to sweep that pitch and sweep it for a long time. A big area it covers.
Upstairs. 0-2 pitch, the fastball up out of the zone.
And that could have been just a show me pitch. I mean, if you want to swing at that, I'd love you to. But if you don't, it's just going to set up another breaking ball. A couple of fake shakes. Love those.
Breaking ball wide, 2-2. Alex Rodriguez on deck. Just in case Bellatti's in the bullpen. Ground ball right side for Forsythe. That takes care of Gardner and the Yankees. 1, 2, 3 in the top of the seventh inning stretch time here at Tropicana Field. New York 2 and the Rays 1. Coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We'll be with you at 6:30 on Rays Live. The pregame with Matt Moore is on the hill, and Doug Wechter's going to break down Adam Jones to begin that series against the Baltimore Orioles. Matt Moore against Chris Tillman tomorrow. Rene Rivera leading off against Justin Wilson, fouling away the first pitch.
Let me guess. Chris Tillman, Miguel Gonzalez, Wei-Yin Chen. Right down the list we go.
Well, we got Tillman, Wei-Yin Chen, and then Kevin Gausman.
Ah.
Yeah. And then Ubaldo Jimenez.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Little curveball there at the very end.
Miguel Gonzalez has been on the shelf, so it appears the Rays are going to miss him. Brandon Gomes, who picked up his first save last night, starts to loosen. Rivera is out on strikes. John Jaso, the top of the order, coming up. Jaso 1 for 3, and the pitch is a strike. One and one. Betances up in the bullpen. The Yankees leading after 6 are 59-2. Liner caught by Gregorius, who was stationed up the middle.
And the reaction from Justin Wilson was priceless. He had conceded a base hit up the middle, not really sure where his defense is. And just watch him. Oh, man, you got to be kidding. Oh, look at that. I mean, that's perfect. That's the second time that we've seen Jaso go up the middle and have nothing to show for it.
Now he grounded out to Gregorius in the third. Now a pitching change. Betances on his way into this game. as the wild card leading Yankees take on the NL East leading Mets. Then the AL Central leading Royals square off against the Tigers in a game you can only see on FS1. Coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox and 7 p.m. Eastern on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Ellen Betances in this game right now, and Grady Sizemore will pinch hit for Mikey Montook against the right-hander. Sizemore looks at a strike. Comes in at 96, locates the fastball.
Tall, lanky, downhill. I mean, his release point has to feel like it's right out in front of you. And the numbers will back that up. Look at the 117 punch-outs in 74 innings.
Yeah, he leads all major league relievers in the strikeout department. Now curveball. It's 0-2.
And how about the differential in MPHs? At velocity, you've got to be ready for that heat coming right at you, and all of a sudden he throws a wrinkle into it. If it's a good one, you just really don't have a chance. You got to hope he hangs it.
1-2. Look at the breakout here. Has not allowed an earned run in his last 40 1/3 innings on the road over 35 appearances.
What typically happens when you put up a stat like that?
Yeah, you give one up. So the truck's doing all it can. Into the dirt. 2-2. He almost took out his catcher with that pitch.
That ball bounced well out in front. And Brian McCann, you know, you've got to really play like that. What if Grady Sizemore takes a check swing? You got to make sure you try to keep that ball in front. And he really had to work hard at that one. Got him pretty good.
So the count is 2-2. Into the dirt again for ball 3. McCann was taking a look back just in case somehow Sizemore did swing at that pitch.
Now, these have been some tough pitches to deal with, and the first two by Betances were spot on. I mean, a good fastball down and away, a curveball middle down, and then he has missed badly on the last 3.
And he walks him.
That's a bad walk. That is a bad walk. He had a hitter in a hole with 2 great pitches and then was not even close on the next 4.
Well, the Rays can only hope he makes a mistake to Longoria. Rays with a runner at first, 2 outs in the 7th. And New York leads this game 2-1. Wide again with a breaking ball.
If you're Evan Longoria and Brian McCann going out to talk to him, you just start looking in one spot. I mean, he has missed the strike zone on his last 5 pitches by so much. He's just looking for a strike, and a lot of times that can mean out over the heart of the plate. And Evan can turn it loose. He'll turn those numbers around.
Evan 0 for 3 tonight. And another one wide. 2-0. Larry Rothschild, the New York pitching coach, heads to the mound.
Well, this is one of the things they've been talking about with Betances. The command has not been the same. He's been more vulnerable as of late. He's been asked a lot of times to get more than 3 outs. You think of him as the setup guy, but he's been a setup guy a lot of times for the 4 outs, 5 outs, getting an out or 2, sitting down, then having to go out and pitch another inning. They're making him work here. He's missing badly.
Last time out 5 days ago against the Blue Jays, he worked 2 innings in that game, and he misses again with the curveball, and it's 3-0.
And like I said, the misses are not close. They're not just off. They're well off. Easy takes for Rays hitters, Sizemore and Longoria.
That's a strike. Got a fastball in.
Well, he's going to have to do it again, so be ready to go. This ball's going to catch maybe the inside corner.
Oh, maybe. That's it. That 3-0 call. And ball 4. So he misses with a fastball. That pushes Sizemore up to second. Back-to-back walks. Sizemore, now Longoria. And Logan Forsythe will get a chance to bat. Logan looking for his first hit tonight. He's 0 for 4 against Betances.
And Betances has been scored upon in 4 of his last 9 outings. It may have been 4 outings all season up to that point.
And a strike. First pitch breaking ball, and he found the zone that time. But that's not the vintage breaking ball that he's known for. Just get me over. He's low. 1-1. 13 pitches for Betances, 4 strikes. Upstairs, 2-1. Ball 3. It's 3-1. Missing with another curveball.
And there's nothing for you to do. There's nobody warming up.
(3-1) and ball 4. So Betances has walked the bases loaded with 2 outs in the 7th. And that's going to get James Loney up there, who is 3 for 3 tonight.
He's had no problem handling good stuff here in this ball game. Able to find a hole right there. He's get it deep enough, shoot the ball the other way once again. We've seen him do that twice. And now he's going to get an opportunity. Bases loaded, a pitcher who has just come into a ball game and walked 3 straight. Only a handful of strikes to show for it.
Only 4 for 7 in his career against Betances. Betances starts him with a strike.
Hey, listen, he jumped out in front of Grady Sizemore with 2 strikes and 2 really good pitches, and then just has come unglued since.
Sizemore walked. Longoria walked. Forsythe has walked. And now strike with a fastball. That puts Loney down 0-2. Curveball, fastball, 0-2. a breaking ball. Loney strikes out on the curve. And the Rays leave the bases loaded. 3 walks and then the strikeout. We're through 7. 2-1 New York. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Swords. New York a run in the second, another run in the sixth, and the Rays got one on a double by Steven Souza Jr. driving in Loney in the bottom of the inning. Chris Archer working the front 6, giving up 2 runs on 4 hits, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Grady Sizemore stays on to play left field. On to the 8th we go. Rays will get Andrew Bellotti into this game, making his 10th appearance. Alex Rodriguez leads off the 8th. Pitch hit on the ground to third. And Longoria takes care of that. Fastball in. And Rodriguez is retired 0 for 4. Now Brian McCann. McCann walked in the 6th inning, and the run he scored right now is the difference in this game. He's 0 for 2 otherwise. Boston batting in the top of the 9th inning in Baltimore, leading 10-0 in that game. Cleveland leads Kansas City bottom of the 8th in Cleveland 5-1. Blue Jays 7-1 in the bottom of the 8th at Atlanta over the Braves. There's a strike, 1-1. Texas now taking a 9-1 lead. Coming into bat in the bottom of the 6th over Houston. Bottom of the 3rd in Minneapolis, 2-1 Tigers over the Twins. Just missed. 2-1. The Angels play the Mariners in Seattle a bit later. Two and two.
3 straight changeups by Bellotti here against McCann. gets them to 2-2. Rays need more than anything to continue to put up zeros, get outs, let their offense have a chance.
A pop-up. And shallow left out there by Longoria. Two outs. Carlos Beltran. He walked in the second and scored a run. 0 for 2. One ball, no strikes. Missing with the fastball. We got a bit of Rivera, a foul ball, now 1-1. Top half of the 8th. Ray scored a run in the 6th, left a man at second base in that inning, and then with 2 outs loaded the bases in the 7th and left them on. Takes the count to 1-2.
Yeah, and how about Betances comes into the ball game, walks 3 straight, and then brings out 3 plus pitches to James Loney out of nowhere. I mean, really struggling with command, trying to get the ball even close to the strike zone. And able to get the strikeout. You expect him, he's going to be heading right back out there for the 8th inning. Rays will get another crack at him.
Tap handled by Franklin. 6-3 out of the shift on the right side of the infield. Bottom of the 8th coming. 2-1 New York.
From the recovery from Dylan Betances, he comes into the ball game with 2 outs, proceeds to walk the bases loaded, and then how about this sequence of pitches to Loney? The breaking ball, strike 1, a good fastball at 98, strike 2, and then drops the breaking ball below the zone. The best one he threw all inning. 3 pitches, picks up the strikeout with the bases loaded, and now back to work out in the 8th inning with that 1-run lead.
Steven Souza Jr. opens the bottom of the 8th against Betances, and a base hit up the middle into center field. Souza will make an aggressive turn, and boy, the throw back in a bit wide, but you have no way of knowing that would happen. And Souza is aboard to open the 8th.
Well, here you go, ready to go. Fastball down. You just get the barrel to it. I mean, Betances supplies so much power. Hit that ball hard. There's nobody there, and you got a leadoff man aboard.
Now Nick Franklin showing the bunt, takes the pitch for a ball.
I'll tell you what, 75 innings of work now for Betances, and he has given up 15 stolen bases. That's a lot for the back end of a bullpen guy. Souza Jr., we know he will run. Maybe not right now, but look for that as this inning goes on. Rays need a runner in scoring position.
Souza picked up a steal last night. There he goes. The pitch is bunted, popped up to third, and they're going to get a double play. Headley with Souza breaking. Headley caught the bunt, popped up by Franklin, and the Rays lose that runner at first.
And Souza Jr. had such a great jump. He had that base stolen, and then the bunt, that's just too easy. Pops it up, Headley just waiting for it, a little lob to first, and how about that? What could have been stolen base, runner on second, nobody out, turns out 2 outs and nobody on.
Kevin Kiermaier takes a strike. So Franklin a 3 strikeout night, and he bunts into a double play. And a ground ball to Drew at second. And the 8th inning is over. No runs, a hit, nobody left. On to the 9th, 2-1. Hotel Transylvania 2 in theaters September 25th. By Kona Brewing Company. One life, right? Don't blow it. Mahalo. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Andrew Bellotti out there to work the 9th inning, a 1-2-3-8, and he'll face Greg Bird to open the 9th. Well, the Rays have stranded 10 tonight. New York 6. Rays 0 for 9 with men in scoring position. And the Yankees 1 for 6. And the hit they got with a man in scoring position was that little soft blooper to left by Chase Headley. Now here's Bird. The pitch is a strike. Bird drove in a run with a double in the 2nd inning after Beltran had opened with a walk. One, Bird, Headley, and then Gregorius due up. 2 balls, no strikes. High shot deep to right. A towering drive down the line, and that one is out of here. It hit the back catwalk and deflects back out onto the field. Bird, what a blast for his 7th home run, and it's 3-1 New York.
And one of the few times that Greg Bird has done damage with nobody on. This is a guy documented. Dwayne, you talked about it earlier in the game, the damage he does with runners on base. This ball middle of the plate, just above the knees. Off-speed delivery, and it got pounced on.
Chase Headley takes a strike.
Zero vibration in that bat. That lets you know all about the contact.
Lifted foul and out of play to the opposite side for Headley. That was a blast by Bird. He's driven in 2 of the 3 New York runs tonight. A home run last night, a 2-run homer in the 4th inning. Two and 2. Ground ball, right side. Forsythe with a quick throw from short right retires Headley. It's 1 out here in the 9th inning.
Shortstop,
D. Gregorius. Fouled right back. Strike 1. Liner into right. That's going to be over the head of Souza. He'll play it on the carom. And the throw back to second's not in time on a double by Gregorius. Hard hit line drive by the New York shortstop.
Boy, you're right about that. Any more trajectory, any more loft, and that ball's going to get out of here. But it stays on the line. It clears Souza Jr. One hops the wall. And then good hustle by Gregorius gets him into second base. You start to jump and realize it's just too hot. Not going to get there.
1 on, 1 out. Now Stephen Drew, who entered the game in the 7th inning, is making his first plate appearance of the night. There's the strike. Popped up. Shallow center. Gregorius had headed to third. Now he's on his way back to second. And Kiermaier takes care of that.
Yeah, I don't think that he knew that there were just one out. Maybe he had to be reminded because he started drifting towards third as if there were 2 outs. He had to scramble back.
2 outs now with Gregorius at second. Velotti will face the top of the order. Jacoby Ellsbury. There's a strike. 0-1. One and one. Miller down in the bullpen. Two balls and 1 strike. Archer for 6. Riefenhauser for an inning. Velotti working his 2nd inning. 2-2. That takes care of Ellsbury. New York adds a run. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Rays down by 2. Rays need a couple to keep it going, and a big 3-run rally to end it. They are down to New York 3-1. Kevin Cass will go to the bench with the left-hander Andrew Miller in this game, making his 54th appearance.
33 out of 34 in saves, but Dwayne, I will tell you this, 4 different occasions out of those 53 outings, Andrew Miller has given up 2 runs, and that's what the Rays need here tonight, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
There's a cut and a miss by Geyer. Brandon Geyer pinch hitting for Rivera to open the bottom of the 9th. Richie Schaefer's already out on deck. Geyer quickly down in the count. Fastball approaching the mid-90s. There's Schaefer.
What makes Andrew Miller so difficult to deal with, outside of the fact that he's got really good stuff. I mean, tall, lanky, legs, arms, everything flying. You can see how he can bury the slider. He can run the heater up there. He gives you a lot to have to deal with. And by the way, you don't see him very often, and if you do see him, you're going to see him once.
Yeah, you feel as if your back foot is in peril with that slider. And a swing and a miss on the fastball. 95 on that fastball. Geyer's out on strikes. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd Orestes and Doug anchor the coverage. We'll have the press conference from Kevin Cash, and Rich Hollenberg will provide interviews from the clubhouse. Strike 1 on Schaefer. One and one. The strike. Andrew Miller, 30-year-old left-hander, has been dominant out of the bullpen. Foul into the dugout. Look out.
Get ready for the heater here.
Let's go Rays.
Foul back. Still a ball, 2 strikes. Talk about how lanky, tall Miller is. And the one thing he did is limit that leg kick. At one time it was substantial.
I mean, it hasn't hurt his stuff by toning it down. Just pick it up, put it down. He's got enough deception anyway.
That's a strike on the outside corner, says Larry Vanover.
I don't know if I agree with that one. I mean, you understand Andrew Miller, the numbers he's putting up, it's going to be a backdoor breaking ball. It starts off, looks like it stays off. Let's take a look here. I guess close enough, you just can't take.
Schaefer didn't think it was on the corner. 2 gone. Tim Beckham on to hit. Fell back for a strike. Matuk started in this spot. Then Sizemore. Now Beckham. One and one. Ball, 2 strikes. Two strikeouts by Miller. Beckham out on strikes. Miller strikes out the side. It's a 1-2-3 ninth. And the Yankees win this one. A 3-1 final for New York. 3-6-1 with 7 left for the Rays. 1-7-0 with 10 men left. Severino the winner, Archer the loser, and Miller picks up his 34th save. Rays and the Orioles tomorrow on Sun Sports. Our coverage begins at 6:30 to open that 4-game series. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast. If not the outcome, Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, is next.